The first thing you need to consider as you prepare to go out door knocking and meeting new connections and making new connections is to figure out what your whole purpose behind going door knocking is. Why are you putting yourself out there in front of people? Well, the obvious answer is you're trying to make more connections and grow your business. But that's the large overarching reason why we're doing this. You also need to plan for the specific reason for why you're going door knocking this time out. The most common reasons for going out and knocking on doors and meeting new connections is you're planning on hosting an open house, or another agent you're working with is hosting an open house, and you're going to be meeting the neighborhood and inviting them to the open house. You're going out in that situation in order to get to know people. As you go out and meet them, you need to make sure you have a copy of the listing information. People want to know about the home that you're listing. You'll also want some type of handout that specifically invites them to the open house and has your contact information on it. You also need to make sure that you have some way of recording their contact information for a follow-up contact. Now, typically when we go door knocking for an open house, if the open house is coming up on Saturday the 15th, we don't want to go door knocking Saturday the 15th. That's too late to let people know. We'd want to go door knocking on the Wednesday of that week, Wednesday or Thursday evening, when people are home, to give them time after the invitation to be prepared to go. If we invite them too far in advance, they may forget. If we invite them too close, they'll probably have other plans. Another important part about the invitation is asking if they know anyone else who is considering moving into the neighborhood that would be interested in coming to the open house, and that they should invite those people as well. Bring in more people from the outside. Many people know somebody who's been in their neighborhood or been in their house and said, I really love your neighborhood, wish I could live here. All right, great, follow up and have them come. That handout needs to have your contact information so they can follow up with you. So a typical door knock for an open house would go something like this. Knock, knock, knock. Hey, this is Darren with Prime Real Estate Experts. You probably saw our sign over there on 123 Banana Street. Did you know we're having an open house this Saturday? Oh, great. Well, we'd love to invite you to come. We're having a special open house for just folks in the neighborhood to walk through and talk to the neighbors before the real big public open house starts. It's a great chance for you to talk to the Smiths one more time and see what they've done with the home. Have you seen the inside of their home recently? Yep, you're right. They've made some changes. It's a great time to do that, to see that. While I'm talking with you, would you happen to know anyone else who's interested in moving into your neighborhood? Who do you know who said, man, I like your neighborhood, I'd love to live here? Oh, great. Do you happen to have their contact information? Well, great. Let me write that down and I'll follow up with them. And I'd also like to ask if you'd invite them as well. In fact, here's some more information about the property and you can invite them. By the way, while I've got you here, can I get your contact information? I'd like to just follow up and remind you before our open house on Saturday about that special open house for folks in the neighborhood. Great. Thanks for taking a moment with me. And then move on to the next door. It's that simple. Now, what happens when you knock on the door and nobody answers and you're trying to get them to come to an open house? Don't give up on them. Leave the contact information about the open house. That's why it's good to have listing information and a handout on 2 separate pages, or at least back to back. So you can at least leave it someplace where they'll see it. Also, make a note of, that they weren't home and see if you can follow up with them on another day. Our next reason for door knocking is typically that we're looking at creating what's called a farm. If it's a new farm, it's the first time you've been in a neighborhood and you're getting your name out there in front of people, then there's some specific information you need to have in front of you as you talk with people. Now, you need to understand the idea behind a farm is it's just like what it sounds like. It's a place where you plant seeds and have to spend time giving those seeds time to grow. And you can't ignore your farm. You need to keep going back to it. So in a minute, we're going to look at what happens with an existing farm, a place where you've been out in front of people for a while. So with a new farm, you need to look at making sure you know their local market data. What are homes selling for? How long are they on the market? What's the average price? What does the typical home in the neighborhood look like? About how long have people been living in the neighborhood? What's their turnover rate? How many sold the last month, 90 days, year? That's the local market data you need to be able to have to take with you. And when we get to the planning section, we'll look at how to find that information very easily. Again, make sure you've got a handout that you can provide to people that has information about their market and how to contact you on that handout. Make sure you get their contact information and make sure that you get permission from them to continue to follow up with them. So typical door knock in a new farm could go something like, knock, knock, knock. Hey, this is Darren with Prime Real Estate Experts. Have you got a second? Great, I know you're kind of busy, so I appreciate you taking a moment with me here at the door. Can I ask, do you own your home or are you renting? Oh, you own your home? Great. How long have you been here? Oh, 10 years. So you've probably seen a lot of changes in the neighborhood. Yep, I get it. So have you ever wondered what your home would be worth on the current market? You mentioned a lot of people, it seems like a lot of people have sold lately. Oh, really? When was the last time you talked to somebody about the value of your home? Oh, it's been that long? Well, let's do this. I'd love to sit down and talk with you for about a half hour and talk with you about your home and its value in the local market, the current local market, and then help you know what you can do with that information. Oh, you're open to that? Great. When would be a great time? Let's set an appointment right now. When's the best time to come and meet with you? And I'll bring some additional information. Well, great. Well, I've got you here. Can I get your contact information so I can follow up with you? Confirm our appointment as well as send you some additional information. Great. Thanks for your time, and I look forward to meeting you on that day. It could go a little differently. You knock on the door, knock, knock, knock. Hey, this is Darren with Prime Real Estate Experts. Have you got a moment? I'd just like to ask, do you own or rent your home? Oh, you're renting? Well, how long have you been renting? If you don't mind my asking, how much do you pay a month in rent? Okay. Have you considered buying? Oh, well, what's keeping you from buying a home in this market? Well, let's do this. I'd love to sit down with you and talk in depth about what we can do to make sure you're ready to buy a home and get into your own place, quit renting. I know you feel like you probably can't afford a mortgage, but when you think about it, right now renting, you're paying someone else's mortgage, plus more than their mortgage because they're making money off of you living here. Yeah, I know, it kind of sucks, doesn't it? Yeah, you're right. Well, let's do this. Let's set up a time. When's the best day to meet? And let's talk about a plan to get you into your own home. Great. Well, I've got you here. I've just got some of the local market data to kind of show you what it's like in this neighborhood to buy. Here's my contact information, but let me get your contact information. I'll follow up, send you some more information, and then look forward to meeting with you and talking more in depth on, confirm the appointment date. Now, if you've already been in a neighborhood and you've already been knocking the door in the neighborhood, that's what we call an existing farm. People are starting to get to know you. Now, the typical size of a farm is between 250 and 300 homes. You need to have enough homes that you're going to get some turnover. You need a turnover rate of 5 to 7% to make that worth your time. That's 10 to 14 people that would be moving in the next year. Again, we'll look at that as we do some research, but in that existing farm, then you need to have a plan on how often you're going to door knock in that farm so that you are consistently in front of people. You should knock all 250, 300 of those doors at least once during a quarter. You also need to make sure you have a plan for what you're going to do when you go door knocking and someone doesn't answer. On your next time out, are you going to go back to those people or are you going to continue through the neighborhood? Making sure that you're giving yourself time to go back and hit those doors that didn't answer. Don't just knock a door, leave a paper, and hope something happens. Again, always make sure you have the current market data when you go out. If you're planning on going out into your farm and door knocking in January, February, and March, well, the March market's very different from January's market. So as you go out each of those times, make sure the data you're bringing with is current market data and your handout has current data on it so that you're ready with the right stuff. And then a door knock can be something like knock, knock, knock. Hey, this is Darren Webster with Prime Real Estate Experts. Yep. Thanks for opening the door for a second. Yeah, I know we've talked a couple times on your doorstep before, just following up, got the latest information here on what the market's like. Still curious? Are you, and then follow up. Are they still renting? Are they looking to buy, sell, invest? But keep that conversation going and always make sure you leave something in their hands, something of value, so that they've got something to remember you by. All right, our next thing we're going to look at is what kind of messaging are you going to be doing? I did a little bit of messaging on this, but we're going to get more into some specific messaging. So this is when we look at your purpose, why are you going out to door knock? Are you going out to introduce yourself for the first time for an open house? Introduce yourself for your first time for a neighborhood? Or are you door knocking in an area you've been around for a while? They're all going to have their own unique message, and we'll get more in depth on messaging for those on our next video.